So I'm just waiting for you to send me your answers before I tell you what it is. Now this beautiful animal has got a beautiful pattern on it, not quite whole dots or spots, but what we call rosettes. You can see that pattern, very, very beautiful. They're very well camouflaged. These animals are usually solitary. They don't move around with other animals of the same species. You might find if a female has cubs, that's the only time you will see them with others. Sometimes you might find a male and a female together for a short while, but generally they move around by themselves. That's what solitary means. So they are by themselves most of the time, which I suppose can get a bit lonely, but they do meet up with other animals at some point. Now, both Lynnhaven and Providence School, you both got it right. Well done. That is indeed a leopard, a beautiful, beautiful leopard. It looks like a female leopard from this angle. I can't really see on the other side, and I'll say that because it looks a little bit smaller. Male leopards can get much, much bigger, and they're not always easy to spot. And from this side, just from this angle, it looks like a female, but it is a bit difficult. It does look like a female, and as I said, the males can get twice the size of females. And remember I said to you it was nice and cool today, and I was hoping that if we did find a leopard, it would be out in the open and not lying in the shade under a tree somewhere. Oh, look at that, cleaning herself. Just licking herself once or twice. And because it is cool, this leopard has decided to lie on a termite mound. It's a nice cool breeze up there, and she's resting and relaxing. So this is really, really a wonderful sighting. Now, I'm going to, let's just see if she turns over. She's just moving ahead. She looks very comfortable up there. I'm going to sit with her a little bit. While we do that, let's head back to my friend James, who's still walking about. This leopard is still resting on the termite mound, and I just unfortunately can't see exactly which leopard it is just yet. So I'll wait till perhaps it moves and we can try and have a better look. But, you know, I always say it's just wonderful to see a leopard. Doesn't matter if we know who it is or not. It's a beautiful leopard, and that's the end of the story for me, I think. But I know it is nice to work out which leopards are moving through the area, and it is interesting to find out who it is. Now, I know Karula, the dominant female in this area, did move through this area. And she perhaps went and fetched her cubs, so I'm not sure if they are around, if this is perhaps one of them. Kaylee, you want to know, what do leopards eat? So they will feed on a large variety of foods, and leopards will feed on antelope, mainly antelope, so anything around the size of It's just a plane flying over us. So anything around the size of a small steenbok or duiker up to an impala. Some of the male leopards even go for much larger prey, like kudu or nyala that we saw earlier. So they've got a very wide variety of food that they feed on. Lauren, I've never seen an elephant eat or leopard eat an elephant. Elephants are far too big for leopards to hunt. However, if an elephant has perhaps died of natural causes or been killed by another elephant, perhaps, then it's not impossible for a leopard to go and scavenge. That means it will possibly go and eat parts of the elephant or off the carcass. But in terms of killing an elephant, I think that's very, very rare, and I've never ever heard of that happening when a leopard has killed an elephant, even a young elephant, because the adults would always protect it. Now, Mylene, you want to know the difference between cheetah and leopard, and I'll tell you, and I'll show you some pictures too. Hold on a second, let me just grab my book. I can show you. So leopards, one of the main reasons or differences is leopards have these beautiful rosettes on them that we spoke about, that pattern, very different to that of a cheetah, because a cheetah has got very prominent spots. Now let me show you again in the book. Well, you could see those rosettes clearly on the leopard, and let me just find where's the cheetah here? There we go. So the top is the cheetah, and you can see very clear spots. Do you see that? Also, the cheetah is much taller than a leopard, but much slimmer, so very slender. They are built for speed. They run very, very fast. Also, look at the face. You can see those very prominent dark black lines, those tear marks running down the face. Leopards do not have that. And you'll see this if you have a look at this leopard lying on the termite mound. Look at that face. You can see it's very different to that of a cheetah. No black marks moving down. Guys, leopards and cheetah are only related in that they are big cats, but they're not part of the same genus or species, and now that becomes quite difficult. That's very scientific, and it's all how they fit into nature and their genetic makeup. And like I said, it gets very, very complicated. So technically, no, they're not. They're not related, but they are big cats. But the cheetah are very different to the leopard. The leopards generally are ambush predators, so they move through very, very thick areas and try and hunt. Whereas cheetah prefer open areas, plains, where they can run down their prey and use their speed. The cheetah is the fastest land mammal. Now, Nick, you want to know how big can leopards get? Now, leopards can get to, a female leopard, for example, can get to about 30 or 40 kilograms, which is about 90 pounds, maybe 100 pounds, a big one. Whereas a male leopard can get double that, so about 180, 190 pounds. Now this one again, I'm just trying to have a good look to see if this is a female or if it's a young male. I still can't see properly. It's very difficult with them lying on a termite mound. But it's so comfortable. Look at that, really enjoying the top of the termite mound. And Joshua H, you want to know how big are the leopard's ears and do they have very good hearing? They do indeed, Joshua. Their sense of hearing is incredible. Now it's hard to describe how big a leopard's ears are, but if I have to show you, if you look at me, so about almost the same size as my ear, probably about that big, the leopard's ears. So they use that and they can turn their ears so they can listen very, very carefully for any movement, any animals they might want to try and hunt. So their sense of hearing is very, very good. It looks so comfortable up there, doesn't it? Now, Joshua L, you want to know how fast can a leopard run? And Joshua, leopards are very fast. They're very quick. They can cover, for example, if you have a look at how far this leopard is from us, so it's about, how far? 20 meters. Also, if you can have a look and see. Now that leopard, if it wanted to, can cover this distance in about 1 or 2 seconds. That's how quick they are if they're charging. Very, very quick animals. But they're not built for long distance sprinting. It's a short burst of speed, and then they usually give up if something's running away from them. Not like a cheetah who will run a fair distance at top speed. Now, I'm going to sit here a little bit longer and try to work out which leopard this is. While I do that, let's head over to Jamie and see what she has got. He's still sitting with this beautiful leopard, and we've had a closer look. This is a young male leopard, and a very good afternoon to Rowan Primary School. Lovely to have all of you with us. Don't forget to send us your questions. Now, I've been sitting with this leopard for quite a while. It's a young male leopard. We think, I know he's just under a year old, and I'm not sure where his mother is at the moment. She sometimes leaves these young leopards to go off and hunt, provide food for them. Now, he has got a sibling, female, in fact, so it's a young male and female. I don't know where she is. She's possibly with the mother somewhere, and I've got a feeling they're somewhere in this area. I'm not too sure where, though. This young male has been spending a lot of time on his own, not far from the mother, but he's been lying up on termite mounds and in trees, kind of exploring a little bit, as young males do. But we are so lucky to be able to see them and spend time with them, because they are very elusive, and that just means that they're very difficult to find. They can hide very, very well, and they can disappear in a bush very quickly if they don't want to be seen. But fortunately, this young male is very comfortable with us being around him at the moment. Lily, you want to know if leopards eat something that's got dirt on it. So maybe they've killed or hunted an impala and it's got dirt on it. Would the dirt be bad for them? No, probably not. I don't think so. I think a little bit of sand, it might just give them a bit of nutrients and a bit of salt. You know, some of the sand is a little salty, and for some of these animals, it's not a bad thing if they do eat some of the soil, but I think, you know, in general, it won't be covered in dirt, it won't be covered in mud or anything. But I've seen leopards go and hunt animals out of mud, so if they really have to, they'll eat some of it, but obviously try and avoid it if there's too much on it. But a bit of sand or dirt, it won't make too much of a difference for them. It's a lovely, cool afternoon. And I think because of this cool weather, that's why that leopard's so happy with lying out in the open for us. Now, Rosie, you want to know how long are leopards pregnant for? So leopards, female leopards, are pregnant for about 90 days, so 3 months. And that's all it takes for them to give birth to these beautiful little cubs. And then what happens is they usually hide them in a den site, because when those cubs are born, they're completely helpless. They're blind and they rely completely on the female. So the female will hide them in a den site, usually a rocky area or an area where there's very thick bush, so other animals can't get to them. They can hide in there. And then about a month and a half, she may move them perhaps to another den site, and maybe from 2 months, if you're lucky, you might get them walking around a little bit with the mother, but they will still be very vulnerable, and she will have to look after them. Oh, Harriet, now you've asked an interesting question. You want to know, what is a leopard's best sense? Now, Harriet, I think if I had to guess, I would say leopard's best sense is probably their sense of smell, I think. And I'll tell you why I say that. Their eyesight is incredible, their hearing is incredible, but I think their sense of smell, being able to find other leopards, to be able to find food, they can pick up on the scent of anything that's walked in the area, and I think that is probably their best sense. Very, very good. Much better than ours, that's for sure. Caitlin, you want to know what is the age of the oldest leopard that I know. So Caitlin, I was fortunate enough to see an old leopard that got to about 18. That was the oldest leopard I saw and that I know of. About 18 years old. That leopard unfortunately is dead now. It was about a year or two ago we saw her. And a very, very old leopard. But generally their age is about 17. They get to about 17. Serena, very good question. You say, is it true that we can identify the leopards by their spots close to their whiskers? And we can indeed, but it takes a lot of time and effort to really have a good look, and you do need binoculars and you need to zoom in. But if you look just above that whisker line, there's a very straight line of dots that are joined, and then just above that you can see 1, 2, 3 little dots. Can you see that over there? And then on the other side, they've also got it. So each leopard's dots or spot pattern above the whiskers is unique. Now, this is a young male leopard we know as Hosana. And we recognize him because we've been seeing him quite a lot with his mother, who is a dominant leopard in this area. But it is difficult, and to be honest, I really just enjoy seeing leopards. It doesn't matter which one it is. It's nice for us to keep track of who is in the area and who's moving around. But it's nice to just see them and appreciate them, no matter who it is. And Lucy, you want to know, are the baby leopards born with spots and little rosettes? Yes, Lucy, they are. So those patterns on the leopard are known as rosettes. They do have spots down the legs and that, but the rosette is not a whole spot. But they are born with that, and then as they get older, those rosettes become a lot clearer, and the spots become a lot clearer too down the legs and that. I'm going to sit with this young leopard a little bit longer, but while I do that, let's head back over to my friend James, who's still walking about. So we're still sitting with this beautiful young male leopard, and look how he's just put his neck all the way down. It doesn't look very comfortable, does it? But he appears to be comfortable. He's really enjoying it. Now, I'm not entirely sure when this leopard's going to decide to move. He's probably going to lie here, well, anywhere for another 5 minutes or 5 hours. Who knows? It really depends. It also depends if the female comes back and calls him. If she perhaps has a kill for him to feed on. But he's been resting here, it looks like, for quite some time, and he's very comfortable up there. No need for him to move around too much. I think what happened was, I think this female had a kill early this morning, and she went and fetched these 2 young cubs and brought them back to the area where the kill was. They may have fed. I'm not sure how much of the kill was left. I don't know. I didn't see it. But it's amazing that they will move during the day, and a lot of people, I was mentioning it earlier, how people think leopards generally move around at night, but they do move during the day. They just can be very elusive if they want to. I think what I'm going to do is, we've had such a wonderful afternoon with this leopard. He's been very good to us and resting on the termite mound. Probably going to leave him And maybe what I'll do is I'm going to check this area very carefully, just see if I can't find any sign of the female, or the two females, the adult and the young female, see if they are in this area. I do think they are, but they could be anywhere. They could be anywhere. They could be down in a thick drainage line somewhere. So I'm not sure. So I'll have a look around and see. Now, Joshua Lang, you want to know how big is a leopard's territory? So, Joshua, the young males, or males, so not necessarily young males, but the males, big dominant males, can have territories that are between 10 and 20 square kilometers. It also depends on the area that they are in. You know, some leopards in parts of Africa where the density of leopards is very low, they will have much larger territories. And there have been leopards that have been collared for research purposes, that have been monitored, and their movements, and some of them that have moved for a few hundred kilometers to move into different areas. But generally speaking, a male leopard between 10 and 20 kilometers, and a female a bit smaller than that, maybe between 5 square kilometers and 15 square kilometers. So fairly large areas, but it does depend. Also depends on the amount of competition around, how much space is there to move, are there other leopards that are encroaching on their territory. So there are a number of factors which need to be taken into account. Right, so it looks like this leopard is very, very comfy and not interested in moving just yet. So why don't we give him his space and see if we can't find the female around here, or the females. Both of them, they're possibly in the same area. So I'm going to try move out of the sighting now, and while I do that, let's head back to Jamie and get an update from her.